Oil prices fall amid rising cases of coronavirus across the globe as total infections in Nigeria hit 38,344. Also on the program, Eyitayo Jegede emerges PDP Governorship Candidate in Ondo State, defeating Deputy Governor Ajayi and 6 other aspirants to clinch the ticket. And later, President Buhari condemns killing of abducted aid workers, security guard by the Boko Haram sect. I'll be hanging out today with Babajide Kolade Otitoju, while Mayor Akpabio and Simon Ateba will join us via Skype. So let's hang out starts now. While the cold wind blowing over the fraud allegations rocking the Niger Delta Development Commission, the NDDC has exposed some ugly lumps after failing to meet the 48-hour deadline issued by the House of Representatives to produce the names of members of the National Assembly that benefited from NDDC contracts. The Minister of Niger Delta Affairs, Godswill Akpabio, has denied making those allegations. In a letter to the lower legislative chamber, Mr. Akpabio said he never referred to the lawmakers as beneficiaries of NDDC contracts. Well, before then, he had been confronted with the obvious false claims that the House NDDC Committee Chairman Olubunmi Tunji-Ojo was given a contract. Here is his response.
You are on air. You said they gave contract to the chairman of the committee in April 2019. And the chairman was appointed June. Yeah, November. He was appointed in November. But he went ahead and said, you people, the NDDC gave contract to the chairman of this committee in April.
Right Honorable Member, I think I must correct myself. I was giving an example of a contract of 10.9 billion in the chairman's place.
No, Minister.
In the chairman's state.
Let me give you your words. Off their mic.
We can't take questions again, please.
You're on media, you said it. There are records everywhere.
What I'm saying is, let me explain. I'm saying that contracts are split to a point contracts are split to a point where it comes below the threshold of the minister's approval. That, for instance, in a contract given to the chairman's place for road construction, that it came under 950, but the total is 10.9 billion.
That's not my question, Mr.
So your question is whether
Honourable Minister,
the contract is not for the chairman.
Honourable Minister.
The contract is not for the chairman.
Honourable Minister.
The contract is not for the chairman,
Minister,
but the contract is for the chairman's state.
Honourable Minister, please.
And I don't know whether
Honourable
that is
Minister,
local government, you know, right?
Honourable, please, Minister, off your phone, off your this thing. You said it. You said there was a contract you give to the Honourable Tunji-Ojo, April 2019.
Sorry, sir. I'm referring to chairman of committees of NDDC in both houses.
We have records.
I don't
records
talk about
everywhere.
Sorry, sir. May I correct you there, sir? Don't be angry. Don't mention Honourable Tunji-Ojo because he was not even a member of the House of Representatives.
Why did you say that?
So I'm saying that a contract.
Why did you say that?
That's why I said maybe you misunderstood me. And
no,
I mean,
no.
If I was misunderstood, if I was misunderstood, I withdraw the statement. So please, if I was misunderstood,
Minister,
I was giving an example of contract splitting.
Honourable Minister.
Yes.
With this, are you telling the world? You are before camera were alive. Are you telling the world that you have not said and you have never said NDDC gave contract to Honourable Tunji-Ojo in April 2019?
Please, Chairman. Mr. Chairman.
No.
Mr. Chairman.
Honourable Minister, please, let's answer this question.
Which one? The contract for
Honourable Tunji-Ojo for April 2019.
No. I said for his place. I don't think the NDDC has given a contract directly to Honourable Ojo, because before you can say that, you must be sure that that contract is given to his company.
That's okay.
If it is not given to his company, you cannot say that.
Okay.
Senator Godswill Akpabio there fielding questions from the House Committee investigating the allegations at the NDDC. And of course, it happened earlier in the week, but yet that session now continues to reverberate as we see with the position the National Assembly has taken today against him. Welcome to the program. Let me also bring in BKO here. It's good to have you join us. And of course, gentlemen, via Skype, Mr. Akpabio and Mrs. Ateba. Thank you very much for joining us. So, BKO, what do you make of what you just heard now? Of course, you've been reacting to this, long before now, especially as Mr. Femi Gbajabiamila has also, talked about the minister's outbursts.
I'm really impressed with the House of Rep Speaker. I have to say it that he's been providing good leadership. His response to national crisis has been spot on. I can remember how he responded even to the embarrassment that the Ghanaians meted to our country the other day. That's showing leadership. And when Akpabio made that statement that, after all, a majority of the beneficiaries are National Assembly members, he said that Nigerians had him. And that was the story that most newspapers picked, because they felt, what he said was true. It's just similar to the same way Nigerians looked at what he said when he was making that wild allegation against the National Assembly member. Bumi Ojo had not even won election, had not been inaugurated as a lawmaker. At the time he claimed that he got a contract as chairman of the NDDC committee, he had not been inaugurated, as he had not become a member of the National Assembly. So how do you become chairman of a committee when you had not even become a member of the House? So, and when they put him on the spot, you can see he took it back, said, I withdraw that. If you misunderstood me, I withdraw that. But the lawmaker told him, put off your mic. And Nigerians interpreted that to mean that they didn't want him to continue to expose them. This is pure ignorance. The truth is, the two of them shouldn't be talking the same time. They wanted him, he made a wide allegation against them. They have the power, since he's the one, they are the judge in the case. They have the power to tell him to stop talking. And the guy said, put off your mic. And if Nigerians will recall, those of them who watched till the end, the woman on the panel challenged him in a very angry manner. So this whole thing, I knew this whole thing was just an attempt to try to gloss over the obvious scandal in the NDDC. Now, Honorable Gbajabiamila, the speaker, provided leadership again by saying you must provide the list. Since you are saying majority of our people are the beneficiaries, provide the list. Remember, Joy Nune claimed that she was told to implicate the chairman of the Senate Committee on NDDC as a way of rubbishing the whole probe. Their plan was to rubbish the probe in the House of Reps by claiming that the chairman of the committee had taken contract, so he should recuse himself. The man recused himself, despite the fact the allegation was false. Now, I've had people say, Akpabio has said there's a long list. He's going to put the National Assembly to shame. Now,
Where is it?
The deadline expired. Akpabio could not come up with any list. Instead, he wrote a letter now denying that he meant that the House of Reps as individuals collected contract. But we listened to you. We knew when you said that, after all, most of your members, you didn't say most of their constituents. They are members. It was clear you were referring to members of the House of Reps.
Lawmakers.
So the matter has been referred to. I'm happy that he ate his words, so Nigerians can know him for who he truly is. He ate his word. What these guys are doing with regards to investigating the NDDC is a good thing for which Nigerians should commend them. And I'm happy the attempt to scandalize the House of Reps members has failed, because he has clearly eaten his word. He has taken it back. Now he wrote to them to say, no, I wasn't referring to you people. You understand? But it's left to the Ethics Committee of the House of Res to decide what to do next, whether they will proceed with the court action
to take. Mayor Akpabio, what do you make of the happenings? Okay, Simon Ateba, apologies. What do you make of the happenings at the National Assembly today? Of course, we've seen the stance the House leadership has taken on the Akpabio controversy.
Well, thank you for having me. I'm so glad to be here and to reconnect with people like Mr. Babafemi Ojudu. It's been a few years since, or a few months since I came on the program.
You are referring to our boss who went to the Senate.
Yes. And and so all I want to say is looking at Nigeria from here in the US is the same story. The story at NDDC is still the story of corruption. And I don't want us to be caught in the drama of the National Assembly. Akpabio said this and the National Assembly said that. In the end, the investigation has to proceed and those who collected money have to be prosecuted. And sometimes when we look at Nigeria from here, we see a country that is struggling with basic amenities. Electricity is not constant. We are in the middle of a global pandemic. Insecurity is rising to the extent that we saw the video yesterday where people were killed on camera, and we have the National Assembly demanding that the service chief should resign. So the country is in crisis. People are suffering. People don't have the basic amenities. But what do the people in power do? The people in charge of organizations like the NDDC that is actually meant to develop the Niger Delta. What do? They steal all the money. Some of them fly to the US. They can't fly now because of the pandemic. They fly here, they spend time with small girls. They do all kinds of things. I see them. And so to me is another chapter of corruption, the drama at the National Assembly that may eventually lead to nothing, no prosecution, just the drama, but the people are not prosecuted and the money is not recovered.
All right. Of course, the story or this, controversy keeps, leading to fresh angles by the day. On the flip side, of course, Babajide, you also saw the decision the Senate took now. It also seems to reflect in what you also said days ago on this subject, where you said the IMC, needs to be totally overhauled.
Yes. I'm happy with the recommendation of the recommendations of the Senate. It's in sync with what I said from the beginning. At the beginning, I said it was a mistake to hand NDDC over to the Ministry of Niger Delta Affairs. It was a big mistake. And we have seen from what has happened, from the calamitous looting that has happened there, that it was a mistake that the president made. But by the law setting up the NDDC, it should be supervised by the presidency. It's not supposed to be brought under the supervision of the Ministry of Niger Delta Affairs. And that's what the Senate is saying. The Senate is recommending that the supervision of the NDDC should revert to the presidency. Now, apart from that, they are recommending that the Interim Management Committee should be disbanded. I wouldn't have done anything better because with what is going on, even at the time when they were being investigated, during a period of 6 weeks when they were being investigated, they still managed to take more than 19 billion out of the NDDC in thorough disregard for our people. You are being investigated, you are still spending money. So I support the idea of the NDDC IMC being disbanded. I also support the suggestion by the Senate that the audit of the IMC of the NDDC should be handled by the Auditor General of the Federation, that these people at the Niger Delta Ministry or the IMC do not have the capacity and they can't guarantee transparency and efficiency in doing that. So the Senate has done the right thing. And they're also saying those who took 1.4 billion or so
refund it
in the name of COVID-19 pandemic should go, palliatives should be made to refund the money. They've done a good thing. And I commend them. I commend the Senate committee for coming up with this idea.
Let me compare your analysis with what BKO just said. Now, looking at the calls for the sack of the IMC members and, of course, for the presidency to begin to, handle the NDDC affairs.
Yeah, I don't know. I just feel like the NDDC was always an organization that was set up for people at the top to loot the money. When I talk to people in the Niger Delta, many of them don't really see the impact in the past few years, whether before now or right now. So it's been an organization where people have used to loot money, and when 99% of the money always went to the people at the top who are managing it. And so I'm saying that it's sad because all those organizations which are meant to actually develop the Niger Delta are just used as conduit to just loot the money and fly to the US, build houses and do nothing. So I'm saying that it's just another chapter of, the people at the top just using a federal government agency to just make money for themselves.
All right, gentlemen, let's move on now. We'll continue to see how everything indeed, where it all leads to eventually. Well, as the global coronavirus cases continue to rise, oil prices are conversely falling. It's even more telling in the United States, where rising coronavirus cases may further affect fuel demand in the world's biggest oil consumer. At the London market, Brent crude sells for $44 a barrel, recording a decrease in price of 0.63%. For the OPEC basket, crude oil dealers offer $43 a barrel, and this represents a decline of 1.76%. PKO, what do you make of these figures? Earlier in the week, the prices dropped, only for earlier today now, with reports coming in from London that indeed the oil price, Brent crude, had risen to $44.
Yes, the one thing is certain, we may not go back to the situation we experienced in May when oil prices really crashed. We are not where we would like to be. In my view, $44 dollars a barrel is not high enough. Demand has not reached peak levels. By the time demand reaches peak levels and the OPEC, the oil cartel, can come together, definitely the oil prices will go up and everyone will benefit. The truth is, oil imports generally have gone down significantly. In May, Japan's oil import went down by 25%. Countries are trying to come up, but the truth is coronavirus cases are rising in many countries, and many countries are truly worried. And with that happening, there's no way you can achieve peak production, because who is going to buy? So it's the situation that we are facing even in our country now, that we have kind of adjusted deficit to about 65%, because we know that with the way things are going, we are not going to earn enough. We need to earn enough foreign exchange, but the situation at this time would not allow it, because I know that big gains cannot come until much later, when people can see that the pandemic is clearly being defeated across the globe. For now, countries are really struggling. France is in a recession. I think Singapore too. South Africa has been in recession. So countries are struggling, so spendings will go down. And the EU is planning to come up with a kind of intervention fund
package, indeed,
to help countries that are really badly affected by this pandemic to try and revive the economy. So it's an unfortunate situation that we find ourselves, but there's nothing we can do about it. We've got to be patient about it. Countries must continue to remain focused in tackling the pandemic and ultimately defeating it. The pandemic can be defeated, but we have to stay focused. And when we stay focused, the big gains will eventually come, which will make us to forget.
Absolutely. And even talking about the situation in Nigeria where we are, at least 38,000, confirmed cases.
Yes.
The federal government, like you also know, had to adjust the budget, to make it reflect the present.
The various states too.
Absolutely, to make it reflect the current realities. Looking as our main stay in our revenue generation comes from, crude oil.
Yes, we just have to adjust to this situation. Nobody planned for this. Nobody saw this coming, and we are just making efforts. You can imagine the Saudis, for example, who have said, no, there won't be Hajj, there won't be lesser Hajj. You can imagine how much money has been lost. Yes, pilgrimage is largely a religious thing, but you can't take away the fact that a lot of foreign exchange also comes into the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia as a result of pilgrimage. It's more like to some people, it's it's both religious and tourism, because you also want to see the beautiful places, in the country. So, for the first time, the pilgrimage is not happening. That's so much money lost, so much money that will have come in if hundreds of thousands of people are visiting their country. That's so much money lost over there. Nigeria, the international flights cancelled across the world. Now, even Nigeria, you can imagine, we are planning to go back maybe in September to open the international airspace.
Absolutely.
But no one can quantify what we have lost during this period. What is important is for us to defeat the virus, and we can only achieve it if we remain focused. For now, our people are behaving like this thing does not exist. I was reading about the Lagos State enforcement team coming under gun attack somewhere in Alimosho because they went to shut some nightclubs where people were dancing and all that. And there's a law in place that you cannot open your nightclubs at this time, but people are defying the government and going ahead to do all kinds of things that put the lives of everyone at risk.
All right. Well, Simon Eyitayo, well, how is this reflecting in the U.S. Where you are now? Of course, global markets-wise, the dollar has dropped. Some have said that is why, oil prices also, increased, so to speak, or went or grew, so to speak. What do you make of that, looking at the U.S., still reeling under this pandemic?
Okay, so the first thing I want to say is, yes, the WHO just had a press conference in Geneva, and they also reiterated what they said before, that we are not going back to life as we knew it before. Right now in the US, we have 143,000 people who have died, 3.9 million people who have been infected, even though most of them have recovered, but we still have people dying every day. But the truth really is, with everything at a standstill, people don't go to work, the restaurants are closed, the gyms are closed, offices are shut. So the parks, national parks, where I live in a very exclusive area where we have a zoo nearby, it's been closed. People spend so much money there. So the economy is in recession. The US economy is in recession. And the same thing is happening in Nigeria. The difference between the US and Nigeria is, the stimulus packages. For instance, how many Nigerians really receive money from the government, even when the country was closed two months ago? And so life is not going back to normal. Nigeria is currently hit by 4 crises. The oil prices are down. The coronavirus pandemic is escalating in Nigeria. We have insecurity, and then we have hunger. People are hungry. And so if I want to say something about COVID-19 and fuel prices and the way Nigeria has handled it, I will just say that even the leadership has not done what they are supposed to do. I see President Muhammadu Buhari today, he wore a mask. He's going to Mali for the crisis in Mali. But he should have worn a mask a long time ago. He should have led by example. He failed to do that. I see other presidents in Africa. They do the same thing. The man in Cameroon, Paul Biya, he doesn't wear a mask. So the African leaders, they're not doing what they are supposed to do. Some people behave in Nigeria as if this crisis has nothing to do with Black people. News flash. Most people who have died here are Black people. Right now in Florida, people are dying every day. And Florida is almost the example of Nigeria. It's more beautiful, there are beaches in Miami and all those things. But at least the weather is almost the same. It's always hot in Florida, and people are dying there. It's extremely deadly hot there. So I feel like when I look at Nigeria from here, I see that people don't take the crisis seriously. People have not seen people around them die. They've seen maybe one minister, the Minister of Foreign Affairs, who is now who contracted COVID-19, and we've seen people at the presidential villa, one person who died. So people don't take it seriously right now, and so I think that people should take the crisis seriously. But I want to quickly say this: when the Nigerian Minister of Finance came to Washington D.C. to borrow $3.4 billion from the IMF, what she told the IMF is that part of that money will be used for health services, but the other part will be used to save jobs, to boost small businesses. I'm not sure they've done that. What they do is they tell IMF, inshallah, if you give me money, our people are dying, COVID-19 escalating, give us money, we save people, we give them jobs. How many Nigerians have received money from the government because of the crisis? Because
all
of
right,
the shutdown,
let me just allow you now to take a pause now and hear from BKO. Is this how you see it, looking at the analysis Simon just delivered?
Well, Simon is based in the U.S. There's no way we can look at things exactly the same way. I would prefer to be very specific based on what I see every day I go out. But it's not as if it's far away from the truth. The truth is our people have suffered during the period when we implemented the lockdown. Many people almost died of hunger. There was no help. Very few federal lawmakers and state lawmakers and big-time politicians were providing help. It should be much more than that. Government should have come up with some form of support. Asiwaju Tinubu advocated payroll support, which means that government can help some companies to pay the salaries of their workers, especially critical companies, construction, all of those, the real sector, that moves the economy. But it didn't happen. If it had happened, for example, you know how many jobs have been lost in the aviation sector, for example. So many, because some of them were sent on leave without pay. Some of them got hefty pay cuts. People have really sacrificed at this time, but there has not been any form of support from the government. That is the point that Simon made, that I also agree with, that we ought to have done something about that. But when you look at our people have taken this disease too lightly. They even tell you, Jide, is it that the NCDC people have paid you money? They believe that the disease control people, that they actually pay journalists to talk about, to talk about the dangers inherent in contracting.
Absolutely.
So that's the level of cynicism that our people...
The reality in the Nigerian society.
Yeah, it's crazy to imagine that a journalist has been given money to say that a disease that has killed almost 150,000 Americans is real. You can see what our people are doing to themselves.
But in spite of the doubts out there, of course, the advocacy continues, the need to sensitize people also continues. Well, still to come on Journalists Hangout, Eyitayo Jegede emerges PDP Governorship Candidate in Ondo State, defeating Deputy Governor Ajayi and 6 others to clinch the ticket. Stay with us.
The outcome is not that close, but not really one-sided, unlike what happened at the APC primaries.
Indeed.
Where the governor seriously victimized the other contestants. The truth is, I believe that the Deputy Governor Ajayi would have done better, if not for the fact that from his own senatorial zone, there were too many contestants for the same price. Look at, from the same Ondo South I came from, Ediola Feso alone got more than 100 votes. Ebishene, Banji, Okunomo, Boluwaji, they all
From the same
came from the same zone. If you tally the votes that he got
It's
with
more than
what this people, it will have defeated, it will have defeated the eventual winner. But that is why in this kind of contest, you must get some form of unanimity. If you are from the same zone, you must be able to get those from your zone to either step down for you as the most likely person to win. But a situation in which they all jump in, and some of the votes that should come to you, they take from them.
Across.
They are going to spoil your chances. That's what has happened to him. And I also think that.
But could they have come together?
It's possible. It's possible. It all is, but that's down to how he's able to reach out to people, whether you're able to sell your ideas to them. If you are unable to do that, they will not want to step down for you. But in this case, you can see the South. This is where he lost the election, because the other, the man who eventually won, didn't face that kind of problem. So then don't forget that Jegede had always been in the party, unlike this person who just came to join them just 30 days to the election. I believe that if he had been there like 6 months to the primaries, the situation could have been different. 30 days to the primaries is not enough time to be able to go around, the potential delegates and all that. But he still did very well. When you look at 657 votes for somebody who joined the race just about 30 days to the primaries. So, and Jegede has remained there. So for some of them, he's been a good party man, been financing the party since he lost out about 4 years ago. So he's financing the party and remain a good party man. So they thought it made sense to reward him by giving him another shot at the big prize.
Absolutely.
So it's interesting that both men are going to contest for the prize again. That's Akeredolu and Eyitayo Jegede. Eyitayo Jegede actually benefited from the support of the Oyo State governor in this contest. So that also proved to be a difference maker.
All right, that said, let me compare that now with Mayor. It's good to finally connect with you. What are the takeaways from the PDP governorship primaries?
Yeah, one of the things is that for you to be able to win a primary, you must have godfathers or people who are powerful within the party that are ready to support you. Like Jide said, one of the things that helped the senior advocate of Nigeria, Jegede, was because I think our land that is related to the governor of Oyo State, and the support of the governor of Oyo State was very key. Another difference was the resources available to both of them. According to sources, I learned that Agboola was able to mobilize the delegate with 200,000 naira, while Jegede mobilized delegates with $2,000. So that's also a key factor, because when you do indirect primaries, because the delegates are numbered, the person with the deeper pocket has an advantage in terms of convincing the delegates to move to your side. But I think Ajayi has done very well. He has been able to show that he's a very strong politician, because despite the fact that he came to the party very late and there was his advantage in the primaries, he did very well and he came second. And I think moving forward, if PDP are really interested in winning an election or study any chance against a city governor, it's important for them to find a way of carrying Ajayi along. Because I believe that with the support of Ajayi, if Ajayi is involved and is committed to the project for Jegede, I think that will be a game changer.
All right. Well, we are still on Agboola Ajayi now. Some have said it's a case of double jeopardy for him, looking at his troubles with talking about impeachment at the House. But then he has also considered defeat. He said it was a battle of many forces, and he also says life must go on in his reaction to the primary of yesterday.
Yes, he does not have a choice now. Some are suggesting that he could end up in the SDP and all that, but I don't think it makes sense. You can't be hopping from party to party. You left the PDP in 2016 for the APC. You've left the APC back to the PDP. I don't think it's a good thing to do. So he should remain there and help them to build that party. And the chance that he lost yesterday, it could take another time. Who knows what the future has in stock for him? So it's not advisable for him to try and pursue that ambition in another party. I don't think that anyone could win the governorship election in a state like that, except it belongs to either of the APC or the PDP. So if anyone is advising him to try his luck as SDP, they are not good advisors.
Absolutely. And, well, in the midst of the fierce contest that will no doubt happen between the two senior advocates of Nigeria, Mayor, so what do you make of Eyitayo Jegede's moves now? He's raring to go. He says he's soliciting the support of fellow aspirants and the states generally to ensure he defeats Saketi.
I think that this time around, Jegede has a slight chance, because, you see, it's very difficult to defeat a sitting governor. You have to do something extra to defeat a sitting governor. And when you look at Akpabio has not really done anything extra to what made him to win the election the last time. Rather, a very significant support that is from the deputy governor has been taken away from him. So the key, I think, is if Jegede can convince all the other aspirants to support him and to say, look, these are the things that will come to each block within the party. And if he can convince them to go along with him, especially the deputy governor, I think he will have that edge. But without that, Akpabio will still have that slight edge.
All right, gentlemen, that said, let's move on now to this rather tragic report, where once again the humanitarian community is in mourning over activities of insurgents in Nigeria's northeast. 5 aid workers captured by Boko Haram in June had been murdered by the captors. Well, President Muhammadu Buhari, through a statement by his senior special assistant on media and publicity, Garba Shehu, condemned the killing of the said workers, promising that the perpetrators will be brought to book. Let's share the video where the kidnapped workers cried for help with you. Well, like you just saw, now that clip was recorded about more than 3 weeks ago, weeks after they had been captured. And now what a tragic turn of events indeed. Well, BKO, listening to these men now, it makes one wonder if indeed help could have arrived, if they could indeed have been saved.
Yes, if we had the intelligence to locate where they were being kept, we probably would have been able to save them, bring them back to unite with their families. But it's been a problem for us to pinpoint the exact location of Boko Haram leaders, Boko Haram commanders, and all that. So when they capture people like this, we are unable to rescue them. We are unable to rescue even the Chibok girls. We had to negotiate because we couldn't locate where they were. And we've seen this is not the first time they will be killing aid workers. These are barbaric people. They are not human beings. Remember the case of the midwife and other people who were arrested, who were abducted from the town called Ran. Ran is located close to Cameroon, the border with Cameroon. They took them away. When we did not negotiate with them, or we didn't give them what they wanted, they killed those aid workers. They killed them. So it's not the first time. And I've said repeatedly that the Maiduguri-Manguno highway has become so dangerous now. That was where they picked this. If you remember, on this program, I've said it repeatedly that kidnappings happen on that road. That road is not thoroughly protected. There are just about 3 communities where people reside in a stretch of 185 kilometers. All the other towns and villages located on that highway, nobody is living in them. They fled because Manguno is in Borno North. And that Borno North, Boko Haram is very active in Borno North. A lot of the towns and villages have been deserted. Nobody living in them for, in some cases, as far as 2014. So they just stay on the highway, kidnap people, and then expect the ransom will be paid. But there's a problem because when you pay for the kind of money that they keep asking for, when you pay, they will then use the money to go and buy weapons to confront, to then confront our soldiers. So it's a dilemma for government. And that's why governments are always reluctant to negotiate with terrorists, because you pay a price when you do that. Every time you do that, you pay a price. You pay them money, either through a third party like Red Cross or the Swiss government, they become even stronger. They are then able to buy the weapons that they need from the black market, and they assume some form of ascendancy that will make it difficult for our army to deal with them.
Indeed, it's a difficult position, but in the midst of this obstacle, Simon Ateba, the question one would ask now, because a lot of people are mourning, aid groups, the UN, the nation is indeed mourning this tragedy. So how does one ensure that these deaths are not in vain? Several others, of course, remain in captivity.
Okay, the first thing I will say is really heartbreaking listening to those people, those aid workers calling for help, and help never came their way. In the report that we read, we read that the kidnappers, the terrorists, needed a ransom, and the ransom never came. And yes, while I agree that it's really hard to keep giving them money, because keep giving them money means they may keep kidnapping people. But I also realize that the level of poverty in those places is mind-boggling. In 2015, I remember when I was arrested in Cameroon while doing an investigative story on Nigerian refugees there. And I was able to see firsthand how people live there. First of all, there are no borders between Cameroon, Nigeria, Chad. There's nothing. The border doesn't exist. Second of all, the level of poverty there is outstanding. Is shocking. People don't have basic things, water, food, anything. There's nothing there. Hospital, they are not present. Schools, nothing is there. So with that climate, it's easy for a terrorist organization to come in and be able to even, provide people the basic things that they need. And so when I see Boko Haram, they've killed more than 30,000 people since 2009. They've kidnapped, they've displaced millions of people in those places, in Cameroon, in Chad, in Niger, and in other places. But we also realize that the government is not taking the crisis seriously. President Buhari, when he came to power in 2015, he promised to crush Boko Haram. He did some things when he came in, but right now we don't see it. He doesn't talk about it. He doesn't address the media. It's just like people are dead, people are killed, and then we wait until other people are killed. No proper investigation is being done. No Boko Haram guy has been tried. Nothing is being done. And I wanted to say this before. I know I may not have enough time, but when the Minister of Finance comes to Washington, D.C. and borrow $3.4 billion from the IMF and borrow $2 billion from the World Bank and goes to Abidjan and borrows $1 billion from the African Development Bank, that money is meant for the people, but the money doesn't go to the people. In the end, we have a solution where the weapons alone are not enough to be able to crush Boko Haram.
Let me interrupt to invite Mayor Akpabio to comment on this turn of events, and especially where it leaves aid generally, looking at the aid workers and the people to whom, this aid was meant for. Where does this, leave general residents of the Northeast, Mayor?
It's a very sad situation because it's a catch-22 situation. Nigeria is between the devil and the deep blue sea, and for us to survive it, the government has to face reality. I think the government is not doing enough. Yes, they've tried their best, but I think the government is not doing enough. Because why did I say the government is not doing enough? It's obvious that the only way we can solve this problem is, one, to make sure that we equip the military so that they will be in a position to defend these areas. Two, we have to strengthen our intelligence guarding situations so that we can preempt them, or in some cases be able to identify where they take these people to. And then three, we have to do something about the morale of our soldiers so that they will want to put in more effort, because we hear stories that they will not be properly taken care of. It is only when they do that they can confront these guys, because it's obvious that they can only solve this problem militarily. And it seems that government has resigned to just saying, oh, we've degraded Boko Haram, which is not the case. Because, yes, like Margaret said, these guys, they kidnap all these people. They look for these soft targets and kidnap them just to raise money. They were asking for, like, say, $500,000. If they have been given, they will release those guys. But we can't continue to do that because they use this same money to equip themselves, to get more ammunition from the back market and then fight our soldiers.
All right. Well, gentlemen, I'm afraid that is how we draw the curtains on today's edition of Journalist Hangout. Remember, you can join us tomorrow for